Speaker, the greatest achievement of the modern capitalist system has been its ability to consistently deliver rising living standards across the globe. With higher living standards comes longer lives, and that is absolutely something to be celebrated. Many of us can now look forward to living healthy and fulfilling lives into our 70s, 80s and, God forbid, possibly even beyond. Yes, of course.
He's making a point about life expectancy, but is he not aware that recent figures suggested that actually life expectancy is now rolling backwards and that a good deal of this could well be attributed to Tory austerity?
I thank the Honourable Lady for giving way, and I suppose I probably should again point at this point the 10 years' experience I spent as a pensions specialist before coming into this place, and that isn't actually correct. What has happened is that life expectancy is slowing down. That is not a UK-only phenomenon. That is met right across the Western world because of very large advances, and it's not unreasonable or linked to austerity. Now, what the longer lives does mean is that there will be an increasing number of older people in our society. The proportion of people aged 85 and over is projected to double over the next 25 years. Yeah.
I'm very grateful. I'm afraid, Madam Deputy Speaker, that the honourable gentleman has made an error, because Public Health England published their report, to which my honourable friend alluded to before, which says exactly that it is flatlining for certain groups but going backwards for others and for certain regions. And not only that, they did point the finger at austerity as being the cause.
Well, I thank the Honourable Lady for that question. I would point out that that isn't what the Honourable Lady from Glasgow Central actually said. But I do want to come back now to today's operating order, which delivers on the triple lock to the state pension, providing an extra £3 billion for pensioners in 2019-20, operating in line with earnings at 2.6%. Now, the UK has a system whereby today's taxpayers pay for pensions currently in payment. When people are living healthier lives for longer, spending much greater proportions of our lives in retirement is both unfair and unsustainable. The figure has already grown from 26.5% in 1981 to 33.1% in 2013. And in 2010, the basic state pension stood at 16% of average earnings. Thanks to the triple lock, it will soon be around 1/4 of average earnings. That has contributed to pensioner poverty falling significantly in recent years, which this government can rightly be proud of. By some estimates, typical pensioner households now have higher incomes than their working-age counterparts. The triple lock has therefore served its purpose, and I would argue cannot be maintained indefinitely. Yes.
Does he see that being justification for removing the free TV licence?
Gentleman, for that point, I'm actually going to come on to some of the questions around universal pensioner benefits in just a second. As the Honourable Lady who speaks for the opposition mentioned, all Conservative MPs were elected on a manifesto commitment to replace the triple lock with a double lock of inflation and earnings from 2020. I believe that that was the right policy, and of course would be more generous than the Cridland Review's recommendation of moving to a simple earnings link. Even this year, of course, we are raising the state pension in line with earnings, because those have risen above the 2.5% floor that the triple lock provides. Now, of course, the system should provide generous support for vulnerable pensioners, but that support should be properly targeted. The current universal system means precious public funds are being spent on well-off pensioners. In fact, the richest fifth of pensioners, on average, receive a higher weekly income from benefits, including the state pension, than the poorest fifth. That would be a shocking statistic, even without the context of strained public finances. And if we are serious about addressing this intergenerational unfairness, we must recognise the unfairness of allowing higher income pensioners, many of whom remain in very well-paid employment, like as MPs, to retain certain entitlements, whilst workers on an equivalent income lose their child benefit and their marriage allowance, to give just two examples. We are building huge levels of intergenerational inequity in this country under the current system, with which the triple lock, having done what it was designed to do, will only continue to exacerbate. And if we want to avoid increasing burdens on younger workers to fund large transfers of wealth to better-off pensioners, issues around the triple lock and, though they are not in scope today, universal benefits need to be addressed. Why are we increasing and providing these benefits to extremely wealthy individuals if it means having to freeze the entitlements for those in work and struggling to make ends meet? Now, I know that the political reality following the experience of the 2017 election meant that manifesto commitment had to go, and could easily lead to the Conservative Party to conclude that it's had its fingers burnt on many of these issues and should steer clear in future. But that would be a betrayal of my generation and those to follow. So whilst I of course support the operating order, and particularly the increase to the UC work allowances, which many of us on this side of the House lobbied very hard for. I do hope that the door is not being slammed up on the grown-up discussion we all in this House need to have on the triple lock and other universal pensioner benefits in the near future.